Welcome to a brand new episode of the Signal SPORTSCAST. I am the host, Marco Alvarado, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be signifying the importance of the Astros being in the World Series again. That's right, folks. Your beloved Houston Astros are on their way to another World Series to face off against the Philadelphia Phillies. We will have that insider look as well as the recap of the ALCS. They swept New York 4-0. We'll have a lot of information on that as well, and also some Rockets and Texans talk. Rockets did tip off their season. We have scores and highlights with them, and also the Texans played the Las Vegas Raiders this past weekend. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into it. The Houston Astros are in the World Series. I'm going to say this one more time, folks. The Houston Astros are in the World Series. They're going up against an old familiar foe whenever they were back in the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies. But before we get into that, let's recap these ALCS. So your American League champion Houston Astros faced off against the New York Yankees in the ALCS. They played 4 games. Just 4 games, because that's all it took. 4-0 sweep. How we doing? Game 1 started with a 4-2 win. Game 2 started off with a 3-2 win. Then there was a day off. And then we have the weekend series in New York with a 5-0 win in Game 3 and a 6-5 win in Game 4. Now, I was present at both Game 1 and 2 here in Houston, and I was able to sit down and talk to Space Lawyer on Twitter about his thoughts prior to Game 2, from his thoughts about the game from Game 1 and also his thoughts on Game 2. Let's take a listen to that right now.
All right, y'all, so I'm out here at Minute Maid Park in center field with
Space Lawyer.
Space Lawyer. How we doing today?
Good.
All right, so how'd you feel about that Game 1 victory over the Yankees last night?
Well, to be honest, I like it when we win a lot more than when we don't. So it's good that we won that one.
How do you think Game 2 is going to go?
So I think our best approach would probably be to score more runs than the other team, and if we can do that, we'll probably win the game.
You're hilarious. I hope you know that. I did have you on my old podcast, but I should have expected this. Honest question. How do you feel about the momentum the Astros are going to have when they go to New York?
Well, I hope it's not going to be like 2017.
What do you mean, like 2017?
They're probably going to do some cheater stuff and like make a rain delay and like they did to Cleveland. But you know what? In Houston, we don't tolerate cheaters.
Wow. Wow. Anything else you want to say on this recording?
What we need to do is beat them like a trash can.
You are on another level right now.
Yeah. Like Verlander yesterday.
Wow. How do you think Frommer's going to do?
Short rest. We'll see. Hopefully he'll do well.
I have a lot of faith in him.
I got faith in him too.
That's cool. If the Astros make the WS, do you plan on coming?
WS? Yeah, of course. Hell yeah.
All righty. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Shout out to my good friend Space Lawyer. You can follow him on Twitter at RRossJD. That's at RROSSJD. And he will probably make you laugh 9 times out of 10 with all the memes he produces on this Twitter account. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Astros are in the World Series. They swept New York. And to be honest, New York Yankees fans especially cannot tell us anything anymore. And what I mean by that is they've been complaining and crying to us fans and the whole MLB world about how the Astros cheated them out of all these opportunities and whatnot. Look, this season and this series, let alone in the ALCS, was either put up or shut up for the Yankees, and it looks like they got shutting up. So from this point on, again, no Yankees fan can talk any types of crap or anything along those lines to the Astros fans or MLB because they simply cannot get it done. The Astros are the far better superior team. They've proven that in 2017, they've proven that in 2019, and they've proven that this past ALCS in 2022. So from now on, again, Yankees fans, whatever you say about the Astros is totally irrelevant. You got swept in the ALCS. Sayonara. goodbye. Go to Cancun. Watch the series from your couch at home, just like everybody else is doing around the MLB, other than the two teams that are in the World Series, and that is the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, about the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies come into the World Series as the second wild card team in the National League. They defeated the St. Louis Cardinals in the wild card round, and then they went on to face the Atlanta Braves, the defending World Series champions, knocked them out in the NLDS to face the winner out of the Padres and the Dodgers. Obviously, the Padres beat the Dodgers, which is, pretty surprising considering the fact what the Dodgers had this season. But anyways, the Padres and the Dodgers series ended with the Padres winning, and the Padres and Phillies faced off in the NLCS. The Padres ended up dropping to the Phillies 4-1 in 5 games they played, and here we are right now. So you got the best team in the MLB, roughly, in the Astros, and then you got a team like the Phillies that's in the wild card spot that made it all the way up. I'm not knocking down the Phillies on what they're doing. The Phillies are hot right now. The bats are incredible. Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, and Kyle Schwarber are all seeing the ball pretty darn good at the moment. But at the same time, you have to keep this into consideration. Out of all those teams that they face in the postseason, the Braves, the Cardinals, and the Padres, those teams do not throw curveballs and sliders like the Astros. Now let me rephrase this. The Astros throw a lot of sliders and curveballs. That's in their wheelhouse. Majority of the pitchers pitch that on a normal basis. Even the starters and bullpen relievers. Majority of those teams in the National League, they don't throw as many sliders and curveballs as the Astros. So my thing is, how are the Phillies going to adjust to the Astros' dominant bullpen and pitchers right now? Not to mention the bats are starting to come around as well for the Astros, so it's going to be an interesting series. The only weakness I see with the Phillies is if they're going to be really consistent or not, and also their starting pitching. Their starting pitchers, 2 guys I can name off the top of my head right off the bat is Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. Other than that, you go into their bullpen, it's done. They have Alvarado coming out the pen, and he's throwing straight gas, but he pitches every game. So what's his rest schedule going to look like, and how is he going to be played in the World Series? Who knows what's actually going to happen? We just have to sit back and relax and enjoy this World Series, and hopefully the Astros can come out with the W. Your World Series times are all going to be at 7:03 p.m. all on Fox. So you can watch the World Series starting this Friday on October 28th, and it runs all the way through November 5th if necessary. So again, sit back, relax, wear orange, and let's go Stros. On to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets kicked off their week with some more action. They kicked off their season actually against the Atlanta Hawks. Unfortunately, they dropped the season opener to them in a 117-107 loss. Then they came back to Houston for their home opener and a 129-122 loss to the Grizzlies. Went back on the road versus the Milwaukee Bucks, 125-105 loss. And then finally, on Monday the 24th, they beat the Jazz to take their first win, 114-108. A little bit of analysis from my end. The Rockets need to stop playing isolation ball. I am a firm believer in that the Rockets need to acquire a veteran point guard. They had a veteran point guard in John Wall, but then again, both sides came to a mutual agreement saying that he had to sit out. Actually, it came out recently that John Wall was actually pretty mad with that decision, although there was, quote, mutual decisions on both ends. I need a veteran point guard. KPJ is the future alongside Jalen Green, but the Rockets play too much isolation basketball, and to be honest with you, you can't run a team with isolation ball. We've seen how isolation ball can get here in Houston, specifically when James Harden was here. Now, I understand Harden's a master at isolation ball. You can do it every other possession, but when you're not scoring as consistent as he was, for example, it's not going to work. Especially if you're a second year, not rookie, but second-year player alongside with another player that's young, you want to build and play team basketball. That means moving the ball around, moving off the ball, finding the open man cutting to the basket or at the three. I also am a firm believer in getting a traditional center. I know Boban is on the bench, but he needs to come off the bench, honestly. The next couple games the Rockets are going to have is going to be against the Jazz in Utah on the 26th. Then they play the Blazers, then they play the Suns, and then they play the Clippers. So they go on a short road trip to Utah, Portland, Phoenix, and LA. The next time they're at home will be Wednesday, November 2nd, and it'll be against the Clippers once again. As far as the Texans go, the Texans had a game against the Raiders this past Sunday in Las Vegas. They ended up dropping the game 38-20. I'm going to say this again, Davis Mills is simply not the guy. He's simply not the guy. The Texans were up at the half by almost, 14 points? They had a large margin against the Raiders, but the Raiders' offense prevailed the defense. And, there's not really much to say about that, to be honest with you. The Texans did fire Jack Easterby, so hopefully, again, I want to shed more light on that. The Texans firing him is another great direction into bigger and better things. The next game the Texans are going to be playing is going to be this Sunday, and it's going up against the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans and the Texans have a long renewed rivalry in the AFC South Division, so if the Texans really want to go out and try to win this division, that is the team to beat. Make sure to tap in on all of our social media accounts on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at UHCO The Signal, where you can find me and our other creators and reporters with their content. And also subscribe to us on YouTube as well. We appreciate your feedback. As always, I'm Marco Alvarado, and this has been the Signal Sportscast.